It's definitely not about being perfect. As a matter of fact, grace is a really big deal. And in Romans 11:6, it says, if by grace, then it cannot be based on works. If it were, then grace would no longer be grace. In Romans 3:28, it says, for we maintain that a person is justified by faith, apart from works of the law. These scriptures make it very clear that you cannot work your way to salvation or to grace, but the grace is freely given unto all without works. However, in James 2:14, it says, what good is it if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them? Verse 17 says that in the same way that faith by itself, if not accompanied by action, is dead. James 2:26 says, as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead. John 3:18 says, let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and in truth. Finally, Jesus himself says, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Matthew 7:21. Ultimately, what these verses are saying is that no amount of work or action will align you with salvation. However, when one truly believes in anything, action is inevitable. When I decide to go to town, I don't think about going to town and not move in a way that aligns me with getting there. If there has been a 5-year drought, no rain whatsoever, if I want rain, I must have faith that it is here. I would begin taking action that aligns with rain is here now. I would grab my rain boots, my raincoat, and do whatever I needed to do as if the rain were already here in faith. If you believe without doubt, then your actions align with your belief. If you believe that Christ is, then you wouldn't simply be confessing with words, but would be walking in the same way that Jesus walked. John 14:12 says, very truly, I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works that I have been doing, and they will do even greater works than these. Romans 8:29 says, for those God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son. Since we are all known, Jeremiah 1:5 says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. We are all called to live as Christ lived. Philippians 2:5 says, let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. If we call ourselves Christians, yet aren't living as Jesus lived, we are not aligned with the highest truth. Galatians 2:20 says, I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. Salvation was never about words alone. Words are only used to communicate truth. If your truth is that you accept Jesus and you follow Jesus, then your actions would align with the character and the actions of Jesus. Your words are only a means to communicate your truth to someone who doesn't know you. John 2:6 says, whoever says he abides in him ought to walk it in the same way in which he walked. To be Christian is to be Christ-like, understanding that we are all in this together. We are all healing from past experiences, and we're all doing the very best we can every single day. Grace is something we not only give ourselves, but something we give to others without limit. This is what it means to be a Christian. And I'm not saying it's easy. When we encounter people that aren't Christ-like, it is not about them. It's about us. Their healing. When we step fully into our healing, then and only then can we be like Christ. And it's never about waiting for the other person, because their salvation is about them. Your salvation is about you. To align with the mind of Christ means that your actions also aligned with those of Jesus.